the airport. Guess where am I going? Yes, Japan again. I already cannot count how many times I actually traveled to Japan since I left Japan officially in 2018. If you don't know, I used to live in Japan for 4 years because I did my bachelor degree there. And after 4 years living in Japan, at that time I decided to leave Japan. And this time I was like, why not share with you guys my kind of complicated relationship and sort of like love-hate relationship with Japan. Maybe not to an extent that I hate, but definitely there are some aspects that I'm not really satisfied with and I don't really like about Japan. So I'll bring you along with me this time to Japan and share with you this story. We barely made it to the flight, but yeah, we're going to board now. We are now in Osaka and we're gonna take a 1-hour train and head to Kyoto. Good morning. I'm currently in Kyoto, Japan, and I'm just sitting right beside a river called Kamogawa River. A very, very nice place to chill and to take a walk and to gather. Ohayou gozaimasu! And to gather with friends who was here, so I was so friendly. And I just forgot what I'm going to say. Oh, by the way, right now it's actually 6 o'clock in the morning because it usually get quite crowded after, people start waking up. So yeah, this is the perfect time to film, I feel like. Otherwise, it's so awkward and embarrassing. Anyway, Japan is a dream country, I think, for many people. I'm fortunate enough to be able to live here for 4 years. So I thought it would be interesting for me to share with you today, what I like about Japan and also what I don't like about Japan. And lastly, why I decided to leave Japan after 4 years living here. So I first share with you what I like about Japan. First of all, Japan is just so safe and so clean. And to be honest, I used to take how safe a country is for granted. So after I get to travel to more country and also get to live in different parts of the world, I realized that having a safe environment is just not that easy. And also having a safe environment saved me so much of my mental energy. For example, when I'm in a crowded area or when I'm taking the public transportation, I don't really need to be worried about my personal belongings, got stolen. Or when I'm going out during the night or when I have to walk alone, I don't really need to be afraid and need to worry about my own safety. Another thing is everywhere is just so clean, especially those public area, on the public transportation and also the public toilet. Having clean public toilets and at the same time so many public toilets, it just makes my life much easier and much more comfortable. The second reason why I like Japan is because it has endless, mind-blowing travel destinations for me to discover. In spring, there's cherry blossom, right? And also in summer, there are festivals and also fireworks. And in autumn, there are foliage, the maple leaves. And also in winter, there's snow and onsen and also winter sports. I love skiing. And I think Ohayou gozaimasu. People are passing by. And the third reason, people here are just so nice and so friendly. If you are brave enough to just initiate the conversation, people don't initiate conversation with you here, I feel like. It depends. For elderly people, it's much more often. But for young people, if you initiate a conversation, they will just they will just react to you and just be very, very nice. And when you need help, they will also be very willing to help. Most of people just here on the streets, you can just trust them. It's not that common to see people on the streets trying to scam you or trying to steal things from you. It's just not the case here in Japan. And I just really like the fact that you can just trust people here because yeah, in some countries, you can't really trust strangers, which is sometimes can be very, very tiring. And also Japanese culture, they have this mindset like just not to bother and not to disturb others. So for example, whenever they finish using a public area, they will clean it up. For public toilet as well, one of the reasons like it's always clean is also because like people here just really just take care of the public area. They wouldn't just like make it like dirty and throwing a lot of trashes, etc. It just makes the environment in general just so pleasant and just so nice. Now, let me share with you the darker side of Japan. Well, I'm just kidding. Let me share with you what I don't like about Japan. So first of all, gender equality, especially I think for women, it's just not such a nice environment when it comes to gender equality. I know it's kind of ironic because I just mentioned like Japan is such a safe country for women to live in. You know, you don't have to be afraid when you are going to take a walk alone during the night, etc. But at the same time, when it comes to gender equality, I really just don't like it. I think being a student here is completely different than working here. When I was a student, I did some internships like here and there. I already observed that, for example, most of my superiors, they are like male instead of female. There are just like so many unwritten rules for women. I feel like for this society, that just like the society and also the people here expect women to act in a certain way. For example, in a more professional settings, you know, like no one forced you to do that, but we all know that it's better to wear makeups and also wear high heels, for example. And I really just, I hate wearing makeups and I hate wearing high heels. And there are just like so many little things here and there. For example, I really just don't like a phrase in Japanese called joshiryoku. So basically it means like woman power. Like there's no like equal phrase for a guy, for a man, but only for women. When you say someone who's like joshiryoku is like high, usually you mean like this woman, she's very good at cooking, maybe take care of the children and baking cakes or making tea, making coffee, and what else? Like being very cute and etc. So I think there's really this like expected image of what a woman should be in this society. Of course, like as time goes by and right now it's 2024, I think it already gets better. However, it's still for me pretty uncomfortable. The second reason why I don't like about Japan is about individualism and collectivism. So I did a podcast episode like specifically talking about the individualism and collectivism. I think in Japanese societies, it leans very, very much toward the collectivism part, which if I have to choose one, I would choose individualism. I just feel like in the society, you have this pressure to fit in so badly. Like it's better if you're all just like everybody. For example, when you go to work, you know, you can, if you have ever traveled here, you can already like notice that people here are wearing mostly the same color, you know, professional setting when they go to work. For example, either like white, black, or gray most of the times, and like dark blue. You just have this pressure to fit into this society so much, because if you're like different, people will see you as someone that is just an outsider and you are just like weird. I already feel like I'm not a person that care too much about other people's perspectives and how other people see me. Still, when I was in Japan, still from time to time get very conscious about the fact that, you know, I'm just not fitting in and I'm the outsider here. I'm kind of weird. I prefer much more individualism if I have to choose one. It both has its like pros and cons for sure, but I don't want to be pulled away by the societal pressure. I don't want to be influenced by what I should do and what I should not do. I want to make my own decisions and I want to be able to think just independently and critically. I just feel like living in this environment wouldn't really be easy for me to achieve that. The third point of what I don't like about Japan is sometimes I think this society can be very inflexible and rigid and unable to think outside of box. And if you already know me for a while, you know, like I always love trying to think outside of box. Love trying to do like different things, even if it's like weird and it's just like so crazy. In Japan, it's just like people, they love following rules. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It has its pros and cons. People here, sometimes it can be just very, very inflexible. I think being able to think outside of the box is really what made me today to be actually pursuing what I actually love and to figure out who am I and what I want to do. And losing this like ability of like think outside of the box is very detrimental to me, and I don't want myself to become like that. And I just felt like in this environment, I actually noticed that after 4 years living in Japan, that I also became very much love following rules and, you know, just not being that flexible. I think sometimes we underestimate how the environment and how the society can influence us in an unconscious way. Lastly, I'm just gonna briefly talk about why I decided to leave Japan. The main reason is just because I think subconsciously an environment can change someone a lot, especially our mindsets. And I think already by living here for 4 years, just as a student, you know, I think being a student is probably one of the easiest. But already that, I feel like I already being shaped and being influenced by Japan and also the society in a way that I do not really like. You know, for example, just like what I just talking about, not being able to jump out of my comfort zone, think outside of the box, and also started to even apply those gender rules even on myself, like I impose it on myself. So I just felt like this environment, if I keep staying here, Good morning. I'm afraid that this environment is going to shape me into someone that I don't even recognize, that I don't even like. Maybe I'm like exaggerating all this, but at least like according to my gut feeling at that time, it wasn't a place for me to stay, at least during my 20s and even in my 30s, because I think when we're still young, our mind is still developing and changing so rapidly, and we are still trying to just like taking so many different mindsets and thoughts and perspectives, and we can totally become a different person just by living in the different areas of the world. So that's the main reason why I decided to leave Japan, because I feel like it's going to shape me into someone that I probably wouldn't like. And yeah, the second reason is because at that time my plan was to go to a law school in the States or in Canada. So yeah, my educational plan wasn't just like staying here. Anyway guys, that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it maybe even helpful. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye.